Hey, you blink, I'll cut your eyelids off. Don't you blink.
I got you.
Let's go.
And good evening, everybody, and happy Saturday, and welcome to those of you tuning in on this edition here of the Men of Steel podcast. I know it's conspicuous by my absence the last few months now. Definitely been figuring some things out, personal schedule right now with some work and stuff. But I know it's been a while. It's been a long time coming. But once again, this is your host, Charles Prodigy Richey here, host of host of On Deck. You hear me do every weekend, basically. And right now, getting ready to touch base on the wrap-up of OTAs right now. As we just saw conclude right now officially on June 18th, basically. June 18th was the end of off-season training right now. And basically a lot of stuff going on right now. Plus, I'm going to get into later on the show one of the hot button topics, which I'm sure will be we'll see following the season. Hopefully, it won't be a trend. But with everyone getting vaccinated right now, I actually did get myself vaccinated too. The last of my vaccine, so I'm fully vaccinated as of Thursday, June 17th. And Cole Beasley right now, one of the guys who's resisting following the NFL's mandatory COVID protocol right now. As far as if you're not fully vaccinated, you would still have to be wearing a mask at training facilities. But he's taking the route right now. He doesn't feel like he wants to take something he wants to take. He wants to be naturally immune. And I think that's definitely an alarming concern right now. And you look at like a year ago, like how many players were opting out when they had the opportunity by the NFL back, I think, beginning of August, end of July, basically, when we saw the opt-out of players before the start of the regular season. It was reported total of 67 total players in the league that decided to opt out. The good news is for the Steelers right now is that they have, according to Mike Tomlin, gotten themselves fully vaccinated. So that is good news for right now. And when you look at everything that has been taking place and all, I feel like right now you have to take this with a lot of consideration right now at this point. It's either that or get ready for another frustrating season of scheduling like we saw towards the end of the season or early in the season too, when they were supposed to be facing Tennessee Titans back in October. I think that was, for their fourth game of the season. So, we saw a lot of stuff being thrown here, but I will say this. Right now, I definitely do feel like times are going back in the right direction. How many players will follow? Plus, we're going to also put into Matt Canada right now. He wants to cater towards Ben Roethlisberger as far as like what he feels comfortable with running the offense. How much of a mistake that will be? We'll hear my thoughts on this. We're going to be doing an hour edition right here on the Men of Steel podcast. Once again, you guys can follow me on social media, on Twitter, at Men of Steel CJR. For the Men of Steel podcast on Instagram, it is at Men of Steel Nation right now. Pittsburgh Steelers definitely looking to try and improve from their 12-4 record that they finished with last season. And for right now, for the most part, definitely got a lot of unfinished business. Things did not end well after having that 11-0 start, losing in the first round to the playoffs to the Cleveland Browns. Almost kind of saw a lot of omens, what was to come for this team. But when we also recap, when we look at everything that they've done, as far as like with the draft right now in particular, this year, one of the biggest stories of the year right now, this offseason, Najee Harris out of Alabama right now, claiming to be the guy that Le'Veon Bell once was, if not better. How much of an immediate impact will the offensive line play a big key in that offensive line, which has been brutal for the last couple of years, especially in the running game? Can Najee Harris be that it factor that could help things a lot more on Ben Roethlisberger? And you're also listening to Ron Cook here on 93.7 The Fan earlier in the week. He did an interview with Ed Bouchette. So you may have to see Ben Roethlisberger do stuff, a little bit more things under center. I mean, as far as like not playing the shotgun, hand the ball off. I mean, how are they going to fit that in there? Plus, we also got stories too on Juju Smith-Schuster right now. He wants to not be playing in the slot. He'd rather be considered a true wideout. I mean, when you look at everything, and to be honest here right now, Juju Smith-Schuster, who's had a bounce back year, I felt like, in my opinion. I mean, back in 2020. Now, a lot of people will definitely take away at the end of the day what he was doing on TikTok. But still, I mean, you look at the guy's production. I mean, what he has been able to bring to the table at the end of the day. I mean, he still came up third as far as receiving yards, but he had the most receptions as a Steeler receiver, catching 97 out of his 128 targets. I mean, pretty much. And he led the pack as far as what his clutch percentage at 76%. And I mean, last year too, when you look at it too, I mean, Chase Claypool, who I thought by far, I mean, behind Deontay Johnson, I mean, with the receiving yards he had, I mean, who was tied with Juju Smith-Schuster for the lead in touchdowns, 9 apiece. And you got to start to wonder right here, I mean, is Juju Smith-Schuster going to ultimately be that guy? A guy who's come back to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, when you look at it, Juju Smith-Schuster, who has signed with his ball club after turning down the Chiefs and Ravens offers on one-year deals, signed a 1-year, $8 million contract with the Steelers back in March. Now, he did receive a $7 million sign bonus for cap purposes. The Steelers added 4 voidable years to the contract. The 2022 to 2025 season's void 5 days after the Super Bowl when we look at it. Let's find out how much impact is he going to be this year. I mean, is he going to keep his head score of the game? Hopefully, is he going to be one of the guys that pop out where we see a trend with TikTok continuing? Is he going to be part of the reasons why Steelers continue to get lit up and lose games? I mean, he talked with Michael Irvin earlier about a couple months ago, I think, on the Michael Irvin podcast. And Michael Irvin, who's definitely been very supportive of him, encouraged him to keep being him. And the thing is, too, when we look at a guy like Juju Smith-Schuster, I mean, you think of this personality right here, I mean, who's made a point that, no one decided the criticism when he was dancing on team logos and they were winning games, such as that grueling game they had last year against the Dallas Cowboys, which they barely escaped. They won that one by 5 points, 24-19 in Dallas at AT&T Stadium. And you think about everything this guy has been trying to do right now from a perspective. I mean, you look at Smith-Schuster and everything that he's been doing here, especially when you take a look at his game logs. I mean, for this past season that has been wrapped up. I mean, truth of the matter is, when you look at his production right now, he has had not one 100 receiving yard game this past season. I mean, the most touchdowns he's caught in one game was 2, and that was in the opening game versus the Giants. Now, I know Chase Claypool, he definitely has a little bit of size advantage right now. I mean, definitely who I think has become an early favorite of Ben Roethlisberger to have that big target. But I'm also curious, too, I mean, how much is Pat Freiermuth going to be able to help contribute to this? I mean, I know we talked a lot about the offensive line this year for what it is. But at the same time, too, where do we start to look at right now where they start to pick things up? Yeah, if you guys want to tweet the show, you can definitely hit me up on Twitter at MetaSteelCGR and on Instagram at MetaSteelNation. Just want to wrap up a few highlights that we ran into the last couple weeks right now. Beginning with a couple weeks ago, Tunch Ilkin announcing his retirement due to his battle with ALS. Tunch, he was definitely one of my very early guests. I don't think it was on the MetaSteel podcast, but it was definitely on one of my sports shows. Got to talk to him a day after the Chiefs game back in 2017, I believe it was. And the guy who's contributed 37 years in the NFL as a player, then as a broadcast analyst and an analyst contributor on Steelers Live and inside the locker room with Touch and Wolf right now. As everyone has been following right now throughout the offseason on the YouTube channel, it has been more Arthur Moats and Craig Wolfley keeping us in tune. And definitely very sad to see a guy like him move on and what he's going through in his life health-wise. Because I tell you what, right now, when you think of like Steelers broadcasting and you and you really compartmentalize what he's really meant to this organization. Listen, I think as a part of like Steeler Nation here, I mean, he has definitely been one of the recognizable voices next to Billy Hillgrove and Myron Cope. I mean, who came in. Because remember, he didn't start becoming the full sidekick to Billy Hillgrove until 2005, the year they went on to win Super Bowl 40 that year. Myron Cope's last year with the Steelers before he passed away in 2008 was a 2004 season, Ben Roethlisberger's rookie season, as we looked at it. And for right now, I mean, listen, Tunch, man, definitely going to miss you. Well, I wish you continued prayers, my friend, health and goodwill, that everything works itself out. Just want to say thank you to all your contributions to what you've given to the Steelers organization and Steelers Nation. And more importantly, just want to keep you around. And once again, like I told Stan Savran before, and I asked him this question, I think Ilkin needs to be the next guy in the Steelers Hall of Honor without question when we look at it. Let's get some other headlines here in the last couple weeks. According to that, Chase Claypool says he has been working out with former wide receiver, Bengals and Ravens receiver, TJ Houshmandzadeh, on and off the field. He's trying to strengthen his right side since then he's dominant on his left side. I think that's a very good receiver to be working out with. I mean, pretty ironic, too, coming from the same guy who wiped the terrible towel with his cleats. I mean, wiped his cleats with the terrible towel, but at the same time, look, at the end of the day, TJ Houshmandzadeh is definitely one of the respectable receivers competitively that Steelers have experienced in this AFC North. And I got to believe that Claypool is going to be feeling some real good pointers from this guy. And to see what he's capable of doing right now. And to be honest with you, I really like the fact that Claypool is trying to get himself back in football shape. Hopefully he won't have to worry about any suspension from his involvement at the club with his friend. I mean, I'm not sure if he's going to be mandated to any discipline with the league. Only time will tell on that. But I do feel like Claypool is definitely, right now, I mean, he's in this new generation of receivers right now and athletes where you're going to be going to bat on social media right now, trying to make a name for yourself and trying to be a stand-up guy. The only thing is right now, can he keep his focus and stay off trouble off the field? And hopefully the Steelers don't have to worry about a good thing being spoiled right now, because I think he is definitely a huge asset to this team. But for right now, we got to find out what's happening right now as we look at it. Also, too, as mentioned in the offseason right now, according to Dale Lolley of DK Pittsburgh Sports, reported that at the end of May that the NFL and NFLPA announced a salary cap for the following season, 2022, has now been set to $208.2 million. And I think that was supposed to be the initial cap figure for this season, but since they had to drop significantly, I mean, when we look at it for all the ball clubs across the league, as we look at it, at $182.5 million, Steelers look like they may be having quite a bit of cash to spend. So this year, like I told many people, it's automatically given the Steelers were going to take some sort of hit as far as like what they could do on the financial side. But I tell you what, as we continue to move this offseason along too, and also the possibility of a guy like Trey Turner possibly join this team, as mentioned by Adam Schefter of ESPN, we're really wondering right now because they're hosting him for a visit per report. And we'll get to that a little bit later towards the end of the show. But right now, when you look at the draft and who they got, I mean, you had Kendrick Green with third overall pick. I mean, your third round pick, 87th overall, who's a guard and center of Champaign, Illinois. And then you also look at it too right now. I mean, you got a guy right now. I mean, when you take a look at, I mean, for the most part, like Zach Banner right now, who for the most part is recovering from knee injury. They injured back in the opening game against the Giants. I mean, that is definitely going to be real interesting right now as we look at it. And how much can he be able to help add some competition to this offensive line right now as we look at it? And right now, as we look at, David Castro and Zach Banner have not been in off-season workouts. But I mean, Mike Tomlin has been saying none concerning, none whatsoever. I don't talk injury in great detail this time of year. I'm not required to do so. But rest assured, if I thought something was significant, I would address it with you guys. And this is a report coming out of Alan Saunders of Steelers Now. So we'll get to that a little bit later, how much significance and weight that will hold right there. So as we take a look at it.